All right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today and this week it's going to get very, very, very interesting. So you're going to want to make sure you stick around to the end of this video. I've first got a little bit of an announcement. This channel right here, Cobra Stacker, is having a full stack reveal on his entire silver stack and a live giveaway during the premiere, which is going on at 8 p.m. today, GMT. That's British time. So if you want a chance to win some silver, be sure to pop in, show Cobra some love. I'm going to be in there, so I hope to see you there. And of course, a big shout out to Cobra Stacker. So today, we have officially entered the 60-day timing window for Bitcoin. So these three lines denote the 60-day in the middle, plus or minus 10%, 6 days, either side. We are now officially, as you can probably just about see right here, we are now officially entered the cycle window for the 60-day cycle low for Bitcoin. So I think things are going to get very, very interesting over the coming week or two. We're also going to get to test this primary hypothesis of mine that we're going to make an all-time high this year. I've got a bunch of really interesting stuff to show you around this. So again, make sure you stick out to the end of this video and check out exactly what is going on here. The big news of yesterday was that PayPal's stablecoin is going to be backed by US dollar deposits, short-term treasury bills, and cash equivalents. So PayPal is launching its own stablecoin. A lot of people are saying this stablecoin is a big deal. They're going to bring stablecoin access to an enormous user base, 426 million active accounts, over 50% of online payment processing handled by PayPal, and over 57 million transactions per day. But of course, with all that said, let's keep things real as we always do on this channel. The PayPal stablecoin is built on the currency of oppression, which is Ethereum. And now, before you get annoyed with me for saying that, let me just prove that I am correct when I say this, okay? The new PayPal USD stablecoin has an asset protection role, which means it can wipe your balance in 2 transactions. The first one is a freeze and then wipe frozen address. So you can literally see that right here in the smart contract code base. And this is why I say it is the currency of oppression, okay? No one can do this to your Bitcoin, and this is why Bitcoin is far, far, far superior to Ethereum. Bitcoin has real-world adoption. As you can see, 60,000 EV charging stations in Europe now accept Bitcoin. And technically speaking, there's a massive bull market loading in my opinion. This is a 3-day chart. Of course, the higher the time frame, the more statistical significance the chart has. And here we have just locked in a 3-day golden cross. Historically speaking, new all-time highs were printed 400 to 500 days after this signal flashed. I have, of course, been speculating we're going to see an all-time high much sooner than 400 to 500 days. The on-chain data shows that Bitcoin long-term holders now hold 14.5 million Bitcoin, which is the highest value the metric has ever seen. It's becoming increasingly difficult to pry Bitcoin from the hands of the long-term holders. As a result, there just simply isn't the supply available to allow for everyone to get in at these levels, and therefore it's most probable that we are going to see rapid price appreciation out of Bitcoin, especially given where we are in that cycle low timing window. So all-time highs before the halving are quite possible, and here's why. The halving narrative has become super popularized, way more so than it was in 2019, and it's now even being talked about on CNBC that the halving starts bull markets. As I've been saying over and over again, I believe this trade to be crowded. We will certainly find out if I'm right or wrong about this in the next couple of weeks. Miles here says his guess is the halving narrative is now going to be used to manipulate people. And again, that is exactly what I've been saying consistently for months. The dollar is in a macro downtrend, which is naturally bullish for risk assets. And of course, Miles is absolutely correct about this. Equities have begun a strong uptrend towards all-time highs. And historically speaking, Bitcoin cannot run to all-time highs unless equities do. As we know, equities are in the middle of a correction into a weekly cycle low that will likely be followed by fresh all-time highs. Again, the stars are aligning here very nicely. Plus, we've got new ETF narratives emerging, which Miles thinks will be used to stop people from selling the next top. The institutions are here this time, super cycle, Bitcoin to 1 million, all of that stuff. Again, is consistent with what I've been saying over and over again. We are likely going to see them manipulate this 4-year cycle, this halving thesis, and blow this thing off early, only for us to spend 3 years in a first true secular bear market decline for Bitcoin. We also have the Fed nearly finished hiking, apart from maybe some goof hikes like last month. This inflation is cemented, and this is a tailwind for risk assets. Again, this party can continue for a little bit longer, but the likelihood that it's going to continue for even longer beyond that, to me, seems quite low. The technical setup is very bullish across the board, as I've shown you with the 3-day cross, as I've shown you with the short and long-term holder threshold, plus the 60-day cycle low that I've been talking about. And as if that's not enough, here's the hodl wave down the bottom. What you can see is we roll over and that ignites a bull market for Bitcoin. We roll over on the hodl wave, Bitcoin is ignited into a bull market, same again, and now we are getting ready and set to roll over, which will ignite a bull market for the price of Bitcoin. The stars seem aligned right here, and as if that's not enough, remember this timing window. Let me zoom in a bit. You can see right in the middle of this timing window is August the 14th, and what happens on August the 13th? Well, the SEC is required to give a yes or no to ARK's application for a Bitcoin spot ETF. So show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. The charts say we're about to get a massive bullish catalyst out of this 60-day cycle low that is likely going to drive the price of Bitcoin much, much higher in the coming weeks. And I do wonder if we're about to see some sort of bullish catalyst pertaining to ETFs right in time for that 60-day cycle low for Bitcoin. In addition to this, just 2 weeks after Cathie Wood's ARK ETF deadline is set to be approved or declined on the 13th of August, you can see around the 2nd of September, we've got a whole heap of other deadlines for these spot Bitcoin ETFs. So it's going to be a really, really interesting week. If this one does get approved by ARK on the 13th, it's likely that many of these are going to as well. But whether we get the bullish catalyst from the ETF or not, whether they save that till much closer to the halving date, the facts remain the facts. And the facts are historically low Bitcoin volatility indicates a big move is coming. I've been showing over and over again, and I'm sure you're well aware by now, that the Bollinger Band squeeze is the tightest it's ever been in Bitcoin's history, telling us the move that's about to come is going to be massive. From a cycle position, Bitcoin is in a great spot to make a fast 10-week run towards 42k. I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. 10-week run to 42k. A 10-week run, if it follows this fractal approximately, would put us just under 50k Bitcoin. Again, Bob Lucas is saying that this is what can occur from a cycle perspective. So that again is more confluence that possibly we have to be open to seeing this big blow off top, melt up move, which is going to top this year instead of do a standard 4-year cycle repeat. As always, it's important to know where I'm wrong. I will be more than happy to scratch this one off if we do anything other than come out of here violently in a parabola. If we do anything like this and base sideways, any kind of rolling over down towards the lows, then of course we'll scratch this one off and say it was a nice idea, but we're not going to do that. But as it stands, we have a cycle low coming into play now that could occur at any moment. We have a bunch of underlying news catalysts that could propel this market to the upside. And so a 10-week rally to 42 plus is certainly on the cards. It's really important though, in the meantime, we do not lose 24/7, and there's a reason for that. If I hop into this standard cycle chart for Bitcoin, you can see here that 24/7 level is the prior cycle. If we were to come down and take out that low, okay, draw this approximately, if we were to come down and breach that low at 24/7, then technically this will count as a failed cycle, and that will tell us to be open to seeing further downside or basing in the short to medium term. So the two things to look out for here is that 1, the prior cycle low is not breached, and 2, that we can hopefully hold this upward sloping red support line. I wouldn't be surprised to see us wick it and then quickly recover, but we don't want to be closing daily candles below this upward sloping red support line. Other than that, the stars look aligned for us to see a quick shakeout cycle low that reverses, breaks out of the downward sloping blue resistance line, and then starts what was likely going to be an aggressive and violent and explosive move to the upside for the price of Bitcoin. So it's about to be do or die for this fractal. And of course, we also need to point out, we had big technical moves yesterday from the likes of the crypto related equities. Coinbase look right into the bottom of this support zone. We need to hold this and look for a swing and a breakout here if we are indeed going to do Bitcoin things. Like I keep saying over and over again, I'm getting ready to add on a breakout, and the long will look something like this for Coinbase. If we can do so, I will move the first stop up below the second stop, so the whole position stop loss will be in this neighborhood, and then it will be time to see if Bitcoin really is going to do what I think it's going to do, or whether it's going to go sideways. It's the same deal for MicroStrategy. Okay, we had seemingly a capitulative flush yesterday. If we can perhaps get some upside and follow through in a breakout, then I think we can look to entertain longs and move the stops for the first 2 positions up underneath the third. Same deal for Riot. Riot has earnings coming out tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see if it can hit earnings. I think ultimately it's likely going to just follow Bitcoin. So some kind of move back up here and a breakout. And I think we can get long on a breakout, move the stops up from the first 2 underneath the third, and then see what the market can give from there. And of course, it's the same for Marathon with this sort of big capitulative move right back into this supply zone, or support zone, I should say. Let me just draw it out for you. Right back into this neighborhood here. So it'd be interesting to see if we can hold this and break out. If we can, then you know the deal by now, right? We buy the breakout, we'll move the stop up from the first position underneath the second. And then assuming Bitcoin is going to do Bitcoin things, assuming Bitcoin is going to make that 10-week run to 40K and above, these positions are going to perform very, very well. I would have built up massive positions in these without taking on any additional risk because I allowed the first trade to finance the second and the second to finance the third, right? So assuming this is what is coming next, I think we're going to see a face melting rally. Of course, the volatility compression has been so big that the move is going to be explosive in either direction. And the cycles are telling us that that direction should be biased to the upside rather than to the downside. So overall, what a time to be alive. I think it's going to be really important to make sure that we are ready, at least from my perspective. I want to make sure I'm ready. I'm not going fishing this week as much as I'd like to. I'm not going to be going on extended dog walks. I'm going to be at my computer locked in because this reversal could occur any day now. Like I said before, we are perfectly inside that timing window. We have crossed the threshold. So any time between now and the 20th of August, we could see a swing and a reversal. If, of course, this primary thesis comes to fruition, then I do not want to be missing out on this move. Again, it seemed crazy for a very long time. It seemed crazy all the way back here. But I said Bitcoin can do Bitcoin things and you should never sleep on it. It also seemed crazy, remember, when I was calling for an all-time high blow off top back in October and June and July of last year when I said, no, we're not going to do 2008 back here. We're going to go to all-time highs. That seemed crazy. But now all we've got to do is wait for a weekly cycle low decline and a reversal, and we're probably going to go up and attack the all-time highs thereafter. So things can happen and they can happen quickly. They can change and they can change quickly. So it's going to be really important over this week to make sure that we're not sleeping on the market, to make sure we know our levels, we know where the breakouts are going to occur, we know we're waiting for a cycle low decline and a swing and a reversal. So any day now, the market could certainly reverse, and I'm quite excited to see what is going to happen from here on out. For me, it's less exciting with the stock market. I think we are perfectly in that neighborhood to see some kind of counter trend bounce and then a rollover into that cycle low due around the 22nd of August. And of course, it's the same deal for the NASDAQ, some kind of chop in the meantime before a rollover into the end of August. And then I think we can buy swings. And of course, it's the same for the Dow Jones. Right now, looking perhaps to break out above the top of this level. If it does, then we can take the trade above the prior highs. We can take that as a breakout and say it's just not going to follow suit exactly for the S&P and the NASDAQ. But the cycles, again, are telling us to be open to seeing some kind of downside. I would think this box neighborhood that was resistance for 9 odd months probably needs to be retested at some point, probably needs to be back tested. So I would not at all rule out a move back into this box before we can reverse higher. Once we get a little further down into the stock market daily cycle low time frame, I will start to talk about Apple and Tesla and a few more stocks, and we'll take it from there. Here's the dollar. So is this breakout retest resumption? Quite possibly. Given that the stocks have got a rollover, I wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of fake out here that then resolves to the downside. But undeniably, this has not had the follow through just yet. If inflation is going to be sticky, are we likely to see the dollar rollover? It's certainly going to be an interesting week. I would think this is getting a little bit stretched, and gold still is yet to make a clean cycle low reversal. It's well overdue here. So I would expect to see gold sharply reverse any day now. And I would also expect silver to reverse at the same time. But perhaps we've got to have some flush out before this can happen. As always, we'll take it one day at a time. The primary function for me at the moment is to just keep as much capital ready for these cycle lows to occur, make sure I'm on my toes, ready to take breakouts, ready to take reversals out of swings for Bitcoin. And then, of course, it's finally time to find out if not only was I right about the all-time high for the stock market, but can I be right about Bitcoin's all-time high as well? Remember, in investing and trading, you get things wrong all the time. It is not about being right or wrong. It's about staying on the right side of the market. If the market does not do something like this, then I have to make sure my ego is not in the way. I have to make sure I'm capable of holding my hands up and saying, no, nice idea, and we'll go to plan B. So as always, open to all outcomes, unbiased, unemotional. For me personally, I'm going to have to work this week on containing my excitement. I really do think all the stars are aligning. Everything I've showed you in today's video shows us that Bitcoin really is about to explode to the upside. I really think we can make a 10 or a 15K plus move for Bitcoin in just a few weeks. And I still believe that's max pain. I still believe the majority of people think they've got plenty of time to accumulate Bitcoin, plenty of basing into the halving. And I think max pain is to the upside. Now, of course, that's to be determined. We've been very patient into this timing window, and now we're finally here. It's time to see whether we're having an all-time high early before the halving, or whether we're just going to continue to do what Bitcoin has always done historically. In the meantime, look after yourselves, trade safe, stay on your toes, and I'm your boy Camel. Until next time, cheers, bye.